Welcome to the Wondercast, the official podcast of the Isle of Wonders Fantasy Festival in Cres. Today we welcome Tyler Jacobson, whose art has shaped many fantasy worlds, especially Dungeons & Dragons and Magic the Gathering. You've seen his art on D&D manuals, Magic the Gathering cards, and his visual storytelling spilled across magazines and even fantasy-themed whiskey bottles. We are thrilled to have him here, both on the festival and on this podcast episode, so let's get to it. Welcome, Tyler.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, we're so happy to have you here. How do you like today's so far?
Oh, it's been great. Everyone here is so wonderfully nice, and this event has been fantastic.
Really? Mm-hmm. It means so much to hear you, even though you would not tell us if it was awful.
I would. No.
You would?
No, I'd always be nice. I would have constructive feedback for you.
Oh, really?
Which I have none, because it's been so fantastic.
Do you, I will start from this because I really actually like this. How often do you give constructive feedback when it comes to art?
Oh, a lot.
Yeah?
I have a group of friends that all work on Magic and D&D, and we have we're in a Discord together, and we often share each other's work and give each other tips or feedback. But I also, at events, I'm often working with young artists that come up to my table and show me their portfolio, and I give them pointers and tips and things that they can work on or improve on. So I'm doing it quite a bit, yeah.
How was Tyler as a young artist?
He drew a lot. He drew a lot of little
So you were
drawings.
one of those who drew since he could hold a pen?
Yeah, when I was little, you know, when you go to a restaurant, sometimes the restaurant has like a paper placemat, and I would always turn it over because it was white on the back, and I would have a pencil and I would just do a big drawing. All the time. So yeah, all the time. I did. There was a point when I was going to go to university, and I didn't know if I could be a professional artist. So I went to school for biology. So I was going to be a scientist, and I studied science for 2 years, and then I was done with it. It was too hard.
Too hard.
It was mostly chemistry. It was too hard. A lot of really difficult chemical equations, and there was too much mathematics, which I'm not very good at. So at that point, I switched over to just the fine art program. They had painting and printmaking and ceramics, and I did a lot of that. And then I decided to go to university specifically for illustration. And I did a 3-year program that was just focused on illustration.
How did you manage receiving constructive criticism? Especially as a young person, I think it is a conversation with young artists in any field at the art of receiving constructive criticism and knowing when it's constructive or ill-informed.
Yeah, it's difficult at first. You know, if you do art school, even if you work online, it's very good to find a community to give you feedback, because you need to sort of develop a thick skin against it. You don't take it personally, but at first when you go to art school, it is difficult. It's
impossible. You're the artist and the art.
Yes.
The line is really blurred here.
It's very hard, but you eventually learn, at least if you go to a formal art school environment, you learn to have your work criticized in front of a lot of people. And the more it happens, the more you get used to it. But eventually you kind of realize like, oh, this is actually great. It's good to have someone else's, I call it fresh eyes, but it's good to have someone else's eyes on your work, because you stare at it forever. And if you stare at it for a really long time, you start to become blind to the errors.
It is true.
So it's very helpful to have someone else look at it and
with
say,
a fresh look.
Yes, a fresh look, and they can point out something and say, oh, this isn't working. But I think there's a couple approaches for that kind of feedback, and it should always have a solution. So someone can say, I don't like the look of that, but that's not helpful, right? They should say, I don't like the look of that because, and here's how to fix it. And if you're in an art school environment and that's not the kind of feedback you're receiving, you should ask for that kind of feedback. Ask for solutions. Don't just have someone say, I don't like it, or it doesn't look right. They should have a solution if they're going to say anything.
Or at least point to a specific thing that is off.
Correct. And it's best if they say, like, maybe that guy's armor, the hero's armor, doesn't look right. if you do this or this, it can make it better. That's constructive feedback, and I think that's better than just negative feedback.
I totally agree. You work mostly for Wizards of the Coast?
Mostly, yes. That's been my main client for 15 years or so.
If I may ask,
Yeah.
what kind of constructive criticism or feedback support do you have in Wizards of the Coast? I would assume they invested so much in the art and everything that you have a good team there.
Yeah, it's a great team, and they've often for a long time stood on the value of setting us as artists up for success. So they do all the work ahead of time to give us the right amount of reference, the right amount of information about the world and the setting, so that we can just do our thing and we don't have to worry that much. And then they're really good at picking the right artist for the right task. So if they do all of that correctly, then they don't have to give us much feedback because they have set us up for success. But when they do have to give us feedback, it's usually very good. It's like, we need to fix this so that it lines up with the game mechanics, or it lines up with the world that they've created a little better. We call that painting on model. So they want something to look more like the reference they provided. But it's ultimately very good. They're not a fussy client. I've had clients that are very fussy about all the little tiny details. But Wizards of the Coast is great at not doing that. They give us the freedom to be creative and come up with solutions and be partners with them.
I think it shows.
Oh.
I really think it shows. Like whenever we had the honor to have like 3 new manuals this year, and me and my friends, we just dived in for the art first. Like, rules, okay, fine, we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
But did you look at this dragon or this dragon or this warrior? And we, of course, always looked for your art first. What was your most challenging piece of art?
My most challenging. There was one I did a few years ago for Magic the Gathering did a Lord of the Rings set. Mm-hmm. And for that set, they did a big battle scene. And it took, it was a large scene that they kind of cut up into 18 different Magic cards. But if you collect all 18 of the cards, you can put them all together side by side, and it will make this big scene. And that scene, when I work for Magic, I don't paint 18 cards for them within a single year, within 12 months. But I had to paint that scene, which was 18 illustrations essentially, in 6 months. So it was very challenging, very detailed, lots of stuff were going on. I also had to make sure every element fit within their own cards so that they were individually represented as single cards, but then when you put them together, you had the whole entire image. So it was a lot of puzzle work, essentially.
Was it a burnout work?
I would say I felt at 6 months, I was sort of like, I'm really happy this is almost done, or I'm very excited that this is done. And I kind of want to take a break for a few months, but I had to, work into other projects. But I would say I was questioning my career choice for 6 months.
You have been working for Wizards of the Coast for 17 years, if I remember correctly.
Yes,
something
around
that number. Where do you see yourself in 10 years?
That's a good question. I think I have worked for clients for almost 20 years, and I feel like I'm in a point where I want to kind of not work for other people's properties, and I kind of maybe want to create my own. And that's a challenge, and it's finding an audience for that will be an interesting thing to explore. But I think in 10 years, I would like to be doing a lot more of my own world creating, and maybe publish books that have art that doesn't represent another company, but represents my ideas. I'd like to get to that space. And I'd also love to work in movies. I really like movies, so I think it'd be really fun to work on some film projects. But we'll see where things take us. Beautiful.
Do you have any advice that you would like to share for young artists that want to break through into the fantasy art world?
Great question. I think my advice is to find your own voice. And what I mean by that is to really push to make your own style. It's very easy to look at, Magic, or work for Magic, or I want to work for D&D, so I'm going to make my work look like that. it's very easy to fall into that painting like other people trap. I always encourage artists to do the art that makes them most excited. And for me, from what I do is I'm not painting paintings for other people. I want to impress myself. And if you like it, great. But I want to be happy with it. I want to be like, oh wow, I did a cool painting. And if that's the mindset you can come from, people will enjoy your work. It'll just be a side effect of the work that you create. So I encourage artists to paint for themselves, try to impress yourself, and try to keep your own voice in your work. Don't try to paint other people's styles.
Your own viewer when making a movie, I've heard this advice before, be your first viewer when you're making a movie, be your first reader when you're writing a book. And now it's really awesome to hear that you would recommend the same for someone who makes art as well, who paints.
Yeah, and I've adapted it from listening to interviews with some of my favorite movie directors.
Yes.
I've seen many directors that I really love say that. So I can't claim it as my own original idea. It's just something I've heard from them, and they say the same thing. They say, I make movies because I want to watch it, and if someone else loves it, that's a bonus. And so I feel the same about painting.
I think we feel the same about Isle of Wonders as well, to make a festival that we would enjoy.
Perfect. And if people come along and do, it's the best possible situation.
Great. So for the end, I have a couple of this or that questions for you to play a game, if that's okay.
Let's do it. That sounds fun.
Okay. Dragons or demons?
Oh, you know what? People would think I would say dragons, but I'm going to say demons. I'm going to say demons.
Really?
I love demons. I don't get to do them as much as I want. I've done a few for Magic, but demons are fun.
But you do dragons so well.
I enjoy dragons, but if I had to pick, I got to say demons.
Cover art or card art?
I actually like cover art.
Really?
The card art is fun, but I've done, like you said in the intro, I've done over 100, I think I've done 150 Magic cards, and it's always that same shape. And I like the challenge of a cover because sometimes it's a different shape or the text goes in a different space, and so you're kind of playing with that little puzzle of solving it. So I think for me, it's a little more exciting to solve a cover.
To solve a cover.
Solve. Yeah, I always call it solve.
I noticed that you work with your art like it's a problem to be solved.
Yes.
Which makes sense.
And I'd say that's kind of the difference between illustration and fine art is often you're putting your voice on the canvas, whereas illustration is you're solving someone else's problem. You know, that you're making a cover or you're making card art that represents game mechanics. So it's a solution as opposed to my voice on the canvas.
It is exciting.
Yeah, I like it. It's a puzzle, and it's really fun to play.
Sketching or painting?
Painting.
Star Wars or Star Trek?
Star Trek.
My guy.
Hands down.
That is the correct answer.
Thank you.
Sci-fi or fantasy? Personal preference, not art preference.
Personal preference, sci-fi.
Also the correct. I'm sorry. I will delete this.
But art preference is 100% fantasy. Yes.
Beautiful. Concepting alone or collaborating with a team?
Collaborating.
Working in silence or with music or podcasts?
Music and podcasts.
Orc bar fight or elven council meeting?
Orc bar fight.
Heroes or villains?
Villains.
Goes well with the demons. Morning studio sessions or late night flow?
Late night flow.
Dungeons and Dragons or Magic the Gathering?
Dungeons and Dragons.
Also the correct answer. Thank you, Tyler. This was such a pleasure having you here and to chatting with you on the podcast.